The psychology of war and conflict is rooted in the human brain's reaction to fear, competition, and survival. War can be seen as an extreme response to perceived threats or lack of resources, driven by evolutionary instincts for self-preservation and dominance. Psychological mechanisms like group identity, moral disengagement, and dehumanization play crucial roles in escalating conflict. Group identity fuels in-group out-group dynamics, where individuals identify with a collective and perceive outsiders as threats. This intensifies during wartime, where nationalistic fervor and cultural differences justify violence against the other. Social identity theory explains how loyalty to one's group increases aggression towards outsiders. Dehumanization, a psychological process where opponents are stripped of their human qualities, is central to warfare. Soldiers and civilians alike view enemies as lesser beings, making violence more bearable. Propaganda reinforces this by portraying the enemy in monstrous or subhuman terms, fostering moral disengagement that allows individuals to commit acts they would otherwise find morally wrong. Cognitive dissonance is another driver. People resolve the discomfort between their moral values and violent actions by altering their perception of the enemy or justifying their actions. In war, moral disengagement allows individuals to bypass ethical considerations, leading to an end justify the means mentality. This shift is not limited to combatants but extends to civilians who rationalize civilian casualties as necessary. Leadership plays a massive role in shaping psychological responses to war. Charismatic leaders can exploit fear and anger to unify groups, directing these emotions toward a common enemy. Through speeches, symbols, and selective messaging, they tap into deep-seated fears and prejudices, galvanizing support for war efforts. This manipulation escalates conflict as leaders capitalize on psychological triggers like fear of loss or desire for revenge. War also impacts the mental health of those directly involved. Combatants experience PTSD, anxiety, and depression from the violence they witness and commit. The psychological toll is worsened by moral injuries from actions that go against deeply held ethical beliefs. Civilians affected by war endure trauma, displacement, and loss, with long-term psychological effects often persisting across generations. Despite this, not all psychological mechanisms drive conflict. Empathy and conflict resolution strategies can prevent escalation. If you learn something new about how psychology affects our daily lives, then consider subscribing to my YouTube channel so that you don't miss the next episode. Until next time, stay sharp.